Okay, recently we're looking for a lot of people, yeah? So I'm interviewing a lot of people, contacting a lot of people. People are contacting me, approaching me for jobs, and I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna be brutally honest with this. Now, the level, I used to recruit sort of 10 years ago, before I got into running, so a little bit more than 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. I used to recruit, and there's a process that you go through. And I was in my 20s, early 20s, and you're kind of approaching a market, everybody's older than you, and you just assume when you're young that everybody's an adult. And therefore, you assume that an adult is somebody who takes care of things, makes things happen, presents themselves well, has standards, has discipline, and has a work ethic. You quickly realize when you get into your late 20s, 30s, that actually being an adult and all those things are nothing to do with being an adult, nothing to do with age or time spent on the planet. It's to do with your human qualities, your character traits, and that not everybody actually becomes an adult. And once that hits you, and now I'm kind of returning and sort of going through these interviews, speaking to these people, the standards have dropped massively, and especially for entry-level candidates, but across the range. Whether somebody is, 1 year experience or no experience coming out of a master's degree, or whether somebody has got 25 years experience, the standards have dropped. Why? I think from working on this, it's a few things, but I think there's more candidates out there. There's more jobs out there. There's not necessarily true jobs out there, but the way you get at those jobs has become so much easier that people are just getting very, very, very sloppy in the way that they apply to jobs. So they'll send you messages as if they're typing to their friend. The language is just like, you have Grammarly. You have ChatGTP, and I'll get onto that in a second because there's negatives to do with ChatGTP, as you know. But you'll have all the tools. I spoke to a guy yesterday who's dyslexic, and I said, listen, I just wanted to point out on your CV, it doesn't matter for me because I get what you mean, there's 2 typos. And he said, yeah, I'm dyslexic. And I felt like saying, okay, I get it completely, but you have got ChatGTP, you've got Grammarly, you've got every spell check. Word will spell check. If you've got Word 2010, Word 1998, you've got spell check. There are absolutely no excuses for spelling and grammar mistakes. And I know there's a little bit of ambiguous stuff in English, but there's no excuse for somebody not looking through your emails and not looking through your approaches and not looking through your CV. You've got to get it done. That's just all. And I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to this stuff. I have standards, so I'm very principled when it comes to spelling and grammar. If you cannot spell if you cannot spell properly and get your grammar properly, and you're probably watching these videos thinking, Jesus Christ, what a hypocrite. But if you cannot spell and get your grammar properly on an application for your dream job, which hopefully we are if you're applying to us and taking the time out, then what does that say about your attention to detail, your standards, your work ethic? The way you go about anything is the way you go about everything. So what does that say about you? It's absolutely insane. And what that then says is this is not his dream job. I'm not his dream boss. What he's looking for is just quick applying on LinkedIn or on a job site, just quick applying. So he's sending 400 applications and hopes that one will be his dream career. So he's not actually vetting the companies that he's applying to. And then so when you speak to these candidates, they really want you to be kind of selling your opportunity when everything's already kind of there. And it's a two-way process, absolutely 100%. I want you to be completely comfortable that we are right for you and that you are right for us. I will always have standards, like always have ridiculously high standards. And so for me, work from home, red flag. Heavy hybrid, can I work from home? Red flag. Yeah? What's the holiday scheme? Red flag. All these different things. You're 22 years old. Why are you asking me about pension? Like, it's insane stuff. Like, you're 22 years old. Your task, if you're in your early 20s or your whole 20s, is to absorb as much knowledge as possible and to become an absolute lethal weapon in your craft, whatever you've decided to do. And you can pivot at any point. Don't think you're going to do 5 years work in an industry or in a sector and that's going to be absolutely for no reason. Everything you do in life has transferable skills into something else. And every interaction that you have with a prospective employer, 360, people you work with, people who are more junior than more senior than you, everybody you work with is a potential for the future. Your network is your net worth. We hear that all the time, but how many of us actually go by it and live by it? It's so important. So, and when you're interviewing, you have to realize this simple thing. Like, your CV can be amazing, yeah? And it better had be amazing, because you're in a queue with 1,000 people. You get people that are annoyed that they don't get responses, whether it's from recruiters or whether it's from companies. Let me tell you this, if you actually are the type of person who's looking through these job descriptions going, yeah, I like that, that, and that of these 500, and you apply to them with a cover letter, follow it up, call the company, find the hiring manager and contact them on LinkedIn, and then get the number and speak to them. Listen, I know you get 5,000 responses. I want to be first in the line, and let me save you some time. I've got these skills, and this is exactly what you're looking for. And I haven't got that skill and that skill, but you can teach me that, and that's why I'm eager, and that's why I'll stay in the job for 3 to 5 years. You've got to be that person. You've got to learn how to sell yourself on paper, so you've got to learn how to write a great CV. And I don't want to hear about your interests. I don't want to hear about your I don't want your CV to be 3 years. I don't want it to be War and Peace by Tolstoy. I want you to tell me everything about you in a single page. Otherwise, you're in the back of the queue. You have to remember when you're applying to a job, especially if you're using Quick Apply on LinkedIn, and especially if you're going through the job sites and just ping, 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 you're putting yourself in a queue of 1,000 people. If I put a job out there, I get 1,000 applications. And of those 1,000, 990 are useless to me. 990, not in a location, cannot do the job, want some kind of work from home, remote gig in the middle, like Papua New Guinea, or they are absolutely incapable of telling me or proving when and where they've had any relevant experience whatsoever, or why they may be suitable. Now, I will give, if you have zero experience, but you've got a heavy sports background or an elite sports background, or you've proven that you don't want to live off mum and dad, you want to go out there from an early age and make something for yourself because you understand how money works and how the world works, that I'll take all day long over the best degree in the UK. Best degree, you can go to Harvard, you can go to Cambridge, Oxford, I don't care. It's what you do. Recently, I spoke to a couple of, there's a lot of Indian candidates at the moment in the UK, and we've had this thing where we've encouraged a lot of Indian candidates to come, part of the Commonwealth, it used to be part of the Commonwealth, sort of part of the Commonwealth, I don't know exactly, I should have researched. But because there's lots of them, and they're all coming doing masters, and then they get a work visa afterwards for a period of time, it's people, whether you like it or not, there's a stigma attached to Indian candidates, Pakistani candidates. Brits are very, very narrow-minded when it comes to this, especially when you kind of hit regional kind of areas. So you have to kind of look, like you should with every single candidate, you have to look behind the CV, and you have to interview, and you have to get a feel. Now, I recently interviewed 2 people yesterday. One guy has finished his masters. Now, he's got a master's in aerospace engineering. He's a genius. He's a really, really smart guy. He's working in a coffee shop. He's worked in a coffee shop for 5 months. He doesn't want to put that on his CV because he's embarrassed about it. Get that on your CV, because what that tells me is you've got the humility to work with other people around you who may be in the same, maybe they're all aerospace graduates, but you have the humility to get to that coffee shop. I spoke to another guy, again, mechanical engineering degree, and he's gone and he said car detailing. When he actually kind of told me the nuts and bolts of it, he's washing cars, the inside and outside of cars, for 6 months. That says so much more about you than your actual degree. So much more about you. Can you imagine if you put somebody who's willing to wash cars full time and gets there 15 minutes before his shift every single time, every single day, that work ethic, together with his degree, together with his knowledge and his thirst for knowledge, put that into a career. That's who you're fighting against if you're early career. Versus you, who wants a heavy hybrid or work from home because you've got 2 years experience and you think you know how to do the job, and you don't want to travel all that way because of the price of petrol and this and that. Whatever it costs, you should have the mentality that I will work for free for the first 5 years of my career, or as long as you possibly can, as long as you're working for the right person, in the right company, and you're surrounded by the right team players. That's the most important. That's going to dictate the rest of your life. I promise you. Get into something. Don't start mithering about kind of an extra £2,000, £4,000 on your salary. Get into the right company, the right vehicle, and be surrounded by people that inspire you and soak everything up like a sponge. that's going to put you in the right place. The amount of red flags that I'm getting from candidates right now, and I've only talked about junior candidates, when you get into the older kind of candidates with like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years experience, people are retiring 67, 69 years old in the UK now. When you start speaking to those candidates, and they've had to deal with the introduction of emails and stuff like that. They're smart people, but they're kind of not up to date with how things work. But they still don't have the standards, because the standards have dropped, because they're getting contacted by everybody. And they're not willing to kind of put what it takes into even responses or on the phone. You've got to, whatever stage you're at in your life, you've got to have principles. You've got to have standards. You've got to show and prove your work ethic. And you've got to be able to sell yourself. If you can't sell yourself, who's going to sell you? And it's never the best candidate who gets the job. It's never the best candidate. It's the person who can potentially do the job, who can sell themselves best at interview. That's the person who gets the job. And that can be you. That can be you if you are willing to set your stall out right. CV's got to be right. Don't have more than a page. Nobody wants to read War and Peace. Get yourself to the interview and learn how to sell yourself. Ask questions, open-ended questions. What am I expected to do in this job? What is the goal of this role? What is the goal of this business? Where are we expected? Where do we want to be in 5 years' time? These are cliches. You can have a million adaptations of those. If I do a great job, in 12 months' time, what will we be looking back on? Like, what does that say to a hiring manager? It says that you're enthusiastic. You're thinking about your future with a company. You don't want to be there for 3 months and go somewhere else. And you're actually interested in the bigger picture of the company. What does that say to managing directors, operations directors, general managers, anybody senior who you're working for? You get it. You get it. And that's what people want. They want people who work for them who get it. Good luck. If you haven't, I mean, let me know. If you've made it this far, let me know, because this is a running channel. And I'm a passionate person, and I've thought about splitting one side into a recruitment channel, and initially kind of advice for younger people who are getting into the market, because I feel that people are lost, and I see online, whether it's social media or LinkedIn, I see a lot of people that are lost and just think that there's no jobs out there, when that couldn't be further from the truth. So if you think this should be a different channel, I should start a recruitment channel as well at the same time, let me know, and I'll do that, because it's for me, it's all high performance, and everything that you do in running, you can apply to your career, and you will fly. If you've got the work ethic of a marathon runner or a long distance runner, you can fly in whatever it is you do. The world is your oyster. Honestly, you can go so far. But if you think that this is a different topic and this should be discussed on another thing, also high performance, but in your career, let me know in the comments. But I'd love your feedback.